Right, let's take you to Soweto now, where family and friends have gathered to honor the life of the late Khayalethu Magadla. The 6-year-old fell into a manhole in Dlamini while playing with his friends last month. Joburg Water and EMS personnel recovered his body at the Eldorado Park Cemetery wastewater plant nearly 3 weeks later. eNCA reporter Lindokuhle Xulu is at those proceedings. Let's cross over to him to get the latest. Lindo, will the city be assisting in the funeral arrangements? But before you answer that, actually, just tell me what the mother said. It was the first time we were expecting to hear from the mother today.
Well, it was the first time we would have heard from the mother. We understand from the father, Khayalethu Magadla, that she has since been distraught. He does not believe that she was dealing with this thing properly in terms of, being able to mourn. That was because the 6-year-old had not been found at the time. But today, yes, we were able to get an opportunity to hear from the mother herself in terms of what, her thoughts were, when did she last see her son. And one of the things that she did was to record a message instead of actually speaking up there. We understand that it's quite a difficult time for the family. In fact, when we started at the wreath-laying ceremony by the manhole where the 6-year-old fell into, she was inconsolable. She had to be guarded by some people and be brought a chair to actually observe all of that. So she was, in fact, speaking today. One of the things that she said was that her son was always jovial, loved to play with friends, loved nice treats, and in fact loved soft porridge. Even in the late hours of the night, she would have to cook soft porridge because this was one of the things that he loved to do. So those are some of the things that the mother shared. But most importantly, she did say that she is hurt beyond measure. She cannot explain her anguish and her pain right now. And those are some of the messages. That particular recorded voice note ended with her saying how much she is hurt and actually then, being inconsolable. And you could hear that she could continue no longer in terms of narrating and telling us exactly who her son was to her, when last did he see her, and how much she was hurt at the time by the loss, as well as the fact that now they found him not alive. So those are some of the things that voice note recounted in terms of the mother giving a tribute to her son.
Quite sad to hear all of that, Lindo. Actually, we had just gotten just a little bit from what his father was saying about his son. Any other family member that you were able to catch a glimpse of? Did Khayalethu have, for instance, older or younger siblings?
He does have siblings. One of them is a teenager. Another one, of course, is a 1-year-old, a toddler. But Khayalethu was then the second last born, 6 years old. And I can tell you that some of them did not take to the podium. They did not go to share. It was just the mother, the grandfather, as well as the father who had some scathing things to say about how this whole thing was handled. He spoke about how he opened the case on Sunday at around 9 p.m. and was only, helped by the police at around 2 a.m. and this was because there was no vans, and in fact the community themselves had to go to the police station to actually ask for police to come back with them with a van and try to help them with the search. So those are some of the things that we had in terms of how hurt this family is, not just by the loss but by some of the things that their father had observed in terms of trying to locate his lost son. 20 days later, of course, we know that they found out that he fell into a manhole and that he was later found at a split chamber just by a cemetery here at Klipspruit. But I can tell you that some of the people we've also engaged with include the acting mayor, that is Mr. Ronald Harris, who basically came here to tell us about what they couldn't be able to do for the family, because they said that they were going to help as much as they could, but some of the things that they can do according to their legislation would only entail if a funeral is here, so they'll be able to help with some logistical support as all those things. But they are saying that they are unable to do all of that because the funeral now will be moving from here. It will be held at Eastern Cape. So those are some of the things they're saying that had tied their hands in terms of how much they wanted to help the family. But he did say that unfortunately, because of the fact that the 6-year-old will be buried in Eastern Cape, they cannot do much for the family, and that they've only done what they could in terms of dispersing some of those vegetable parcels so that they help in this difficult time of the family. Take a listen to Mr. Ronald Harrison, the acting mayor of the city of Johannesburg, just giving us a sense of what it is that has tied their hands in terms of not being able to help further the family of the Magadla.
The challenge comes when the expectation is that the city of Johannesburg should now be funding the entire burial and what is taking place here. We have a policy for indigent burials within the city of Johannesburg, and within that policy we could have found a way to provide extra support. But unfortunately the burial will be taking place in the Eastern Cape, and the policy demands that everything happens within the city of Johannesburg. One suggestion was that we take the indigent burial policy and convert that into cash and give it to the family. We cannot do that according to the Municipal Finance Management Act and the social development policies. So we couldn't do that. We have done what we have promised, I think. We've also assisted as far as possible with counseling, with food parcels or grocery hampers, vegetable hampers. But I believe that there have been donations coming in. And let me just put to bed one myth here, that there is no slush fund where we can go and access monies to contribute to situations. As sad as it is, our hands are tied by policies and procedures, and if we're going to go beyond the policy and procedure, we're opening up ourselves to negative findings from the Auditor General, and we don't want to do that.
And Linda, you also spoke to the leader of Action SA, Herman Mashaba, who was mayor in this particular city not so long ago. What did he have to say about this matter?
Well, Herman Mashaba is one of the people that when he was at the helm of the city of Johannesburg had known about the issue of manholes. Even in his tenure, there were some issues, of course, with children falling in these manholes. In fact, in 2017, he was one of the people that was leading a manhole recovery program, essentially to try and cover the manholes that had been stolen because of what they labeled vandalism. But nonetheless, Herman Mashaba, as always, did not mince his words in terms of saying that collectively the leaders of the city of Johannesburg must take responsibility in terms of the negligence that he believes this was one of those cases. So he basically told us that, you know, it's not a matter of saying that it's because of theft, it's not a matter of saying that it's because of vandalism, but he says that at the end of the day, they are the ones that are responsible for ensuring that services are delivered to the people, even in a manner of covering these particular manholes. And he says that the city must take responsibility. And as much as we just played a bite from the acting mayor of the city of Johannesburg, he believes that actually their hands are not tied. They must in fact be liable for the negligence that has cost this family a life of a 6-year-old who still had his entire life before him. Take a listen to some of the things he shared with us in terms of what he believes should happen after this incident.
I believe the city must now take the responsibility, and I really ask the city to engage the family as the way forward, so that our governments, politicians, administrators must obviously really face the consequences of negligence. Because when you have accidents like this, do you call this an accident? It's an accident bound to happen. When you have manholes all over, I can tell you, you know, you go to that electricity pylon. I can take you there now. You look at how it's been vandalized. One of these days it's going to really collapse. So when I was here, the 2 days after this boy went into this manhole, I was obviously doing the inspection. I took a picture, put it on social media, showing that pylon. That pylon will cause a major damage, serious consequences for kids. You can imagine if it collapses when people are playing here. You can imagine the electricity that's running through here. So as a country, as a nation, let us all take the responsibility. But government must actually take the leadership in leading society in a manner that is acceptable, and also for society to really know that there are consequences for breaking the laws of our country.